Hi, I'm Lise Colucci, one of the life coaches at Queen Being. And today we are talking about something on the discover, understand, overcome narcissistic abuse realm, which is the pity ploy and the narcissist. So, hi, Rebecca. So, I thought today we'd go back and talk more about some of the things that the narcissists do to abuse you, to lure you in, to keep you, to suck you back, to keep you there. Hi, Misty. Hi, Katrina. And then we'll zoom with talking about healing next time. So anyway, anyone has anything they want to talk about, feel free to add it as well. And I'll just get started. So the pity ploy and the narc. What is it? What is it? Well, the narcissist will often play the martyr. I have a bunch of notes here on this because this is a thing they do well, and the covert narc does it really well. And it's one of the major ways a narcissist will not only lure you in, but it'll keep you there, will manipulate you to stay, will play on your empathy so that you can't get away. And when you do get away, will use it to hoover you back in. It's a really, I think it's an important topic. And I think it's important to understand your empathy is not at fault here. It's not a weakness, and your empathy is not, and your sympathy and your compassion is not a weakness. It is a strength. However, it can be used against you. So it's important to understand where to place your empathy and who deserves your empathy and who does not, right? So what is it? When the narc playing a martyr, right? So they might have this sort of woe is me attitude that lures you back. They may even self-destruct and do things like you'll just watch their, like, say you've after the discard and you've been apart, but there's some hoovering going on and you notice they're completely self-destructing. And it lures a person who is more of a caregiving type of person. It triggers the need to protect the narcissist, because we are groomed and trained by the narcissist to protect them at all cost, right? You know what I'm talking about if you've ever felt this, right? Hello, I have the tiger, and Misty says pity ploy is happening now, but I can't lure me anymore. Yeah, you know, even when it doesn't lure you though, it gets in, and it gets like it even if it just aggravates you, it just pulls you back. It pulls you right back in. So other things that they might, attitudes they might have are things like, I do so much. You might hear things like, I do so much to whatever. I try so hard to whatever. I can't believe after all I've done that, right? When really we know they haven't done much, but they say these things. Hello, Scorp444 and Rebecca. Drama about having a surgery and arranging that no family, even the narc parent, be there for them. Exactly. Yes, they create a situation where no one's there for them, right? Poor them, right? And so anyway, they guilt you, and we'll talk more in detail about the guilt trip in a little bit, because it's a little bit different, little bit more specific of a version of the pity ploy, right? They share their suffering. That's kind of what you're talking about there, Rebecca. They share their suffering. We all want to share ourselves when we're feeling bad. That's different than sharing your suffering. In other words, they're asking you to take on a piece of their suffering so they don't have to be responsible and accountable for their own growth, because they can't grow, right? They may even seem vulnerable. They may seem remorseful during a pity ploy. It doesn't last long, but there you go. It lures you back in. So it works because it plays on your empathy, right? It plays on your compassion and your empathy, and your if you're a person who likes to fix others, we know we need to heal that in ourselves, but we're not talking about that right now, and we can another time, definitely. But it does play on that, and it pulls you. It makes you feel safe. And here, this isn't a good one, because it makes you feel safe and close to the narcissist. It gives you what you've been wanting the whole time, which is connection and safety and a close relationship. And when someone is saying they need you in the ways a pity ploy pulls you, it makes you have the feeling, or it can, that you're actually close to them. It brings you closer, which we all know what that is. That's just trauma bonds being set up. Because what happens after that is always a devalue. It's not like this is a change of heart. It looks, when it's a Hoover, it looks like a change of heart, or it looks like an understanding, and it's just a Hoover, guys. They play on your sympathy, and it makes them seem like they need you. And who doesn't want to feel needed in life, right? We all want to feel needed, but it's a toxic need. And in fact, they probably do need you. They need your supply, right? But being needed in a healthy way versus being needed in a toxic way is very, very different. So I'm going to read some of what you guys are saying, and then I'll go back to what I wrote here. Misty says it's aggravating. Yes, it is. Hi, Linnell. Start over. Right. All I ever did was work for this family and raise our kids. What? You raised the kids? Exactly. All I ever did. I spent my whole life giving to you, and this is what I get. Right. Yeah. Guilt, mine, but I bought you a Roku player after paying the bills, including childbirth expenses. What? Says Rebecca. That's right. Okay, anyway, it is all criticism and guilt trip. So the guilt trip, let's go on to the guilt trip. It can make you feel, it's important to understand and be aware, especially if you are trying to leave or if you're in a Hoover situation. When you're well out, you probably get this. You're not responsible for anyone else's emotional state except your own, right? And it makes you, the guilt trip, all of this pity ploy guilt trip stuff, it makes you feel responsible for their emotional state. That's how you know something's off. When someone's making you feel responsible for their emotional state, there's something toxic about it. It doesn't necessarily make them a narcissist, but it certainly means they're guilt tripping you, right? Silent treatment can be a form of guilt trip. Sometimes it's a form of punishment. Sometimes it's a guilt trip because it's like, it makes them kind of this wounded animal, this wounded victim that they're so shut down they can't even talk. They have nothing to say because they're so wounded and injured by the situation. And really what it can create in you is the fawn response, the anxiety response of fawning and pleading for them to, so it gives them supply, right? It plays right into it. Let's see, all criticism and guilt trip. Life Revival, hello. I busted my butt for them, and all I got back was fake appreciation and cold shoulders. That's right. It says, they point out ways that you're not there for them. This is kind of like, I think it was Rebecca said about her mom, the surgery. Yeah. They point out ways you're not there for them, even though you are actually bending over backwards to try and help them, even when they're pushing you away, right? They bring up past hurts. This is another way that people will guilt trip. They'll bring up the past. They'll drag up the past, not in things that are unresolved, the things that are actually should be resolved. So it's different than bringing up the past when something's unresolved and you have to keep repeating yourself because it's not being resolved. It's not talked about. It's not discussed. That's a little bit different than bringing up the past when it's minor things, or actually a narcissist will bring up the past, but what they're bringing up is past gaslightings and past projections. They're not actually often bringing up real situations, or they bring up the one thing that has wounded them and it's real, like an abusive parent they might have had or something that they'll bring up, and they'll use that one thing to get away with anything they want. So they don't have to be responsible because they've had this horrible thing happen. And so therefore they're triggered, and therefore you're supposed to do X, Y, Z to make them feel better, right? Oh yeah, and we talked about this. I've given up so much for you. I've changed my whole life for you. I've lived my whole life for you. And this is the thanks I get. Yeah. So you may feel, you actually may feel disappointed in them. You may feel like it's your fault or your responsibility. You may feel that their emotional well-being is your responsibility, or the situation is your responsibility. You may feel like you are doing things against your own moral code. This is how you know you're being manipulated, really, and you're being guilt-tripped. Bringing up, Rebecca says, bringing up, yes, that explains it, bringing up past gaslighting, and it's completely random. Right. And it's usually to get away from and deflect from something that you're actually having a problem with them, like something current. In other words, they're, why can't I not think of that word? You know what I'm saying? Word slipped my mind, but you know what I'm saying? They're not being accountable. There you go. They don't want to be accountable for what's actually happening in the moment. So they'll bring up something from the past, but what they're bringing up is some random thing that was some situation that never actually happened, because they're describing a gaslighting that they did where they twisted your words. So does that make any sense? It makes sense if you felt it, I think. But responsibility, right? Responsibility, accountability. Yep. Your love is in question. There's another way that they might guilt trip you, and you will notice that they're always questioning whether you love them or not. And I don't mean after an argument or when you're having a rough time. I mean all the time, right? Life Survival says silent treatment is also a control tactic. It sure is. They're sitting and waiting for you to offer what they want at the moment. Nothing else will do, and rejection issues go on until you offer what they want. Sometimes it certainly is. Hello, Angela. Sometimes it certainly is that. I mean, I think all of it's a control tactic, right? All of this, the pity play, the guilt trip, the silent treatment, it's all a control tactic. So another way you may know that you're being manipulated by someone who is guilt tripping you is you cannot set boundaries out of fear of hurting their feelings. I don't mean fear of like physical fear from them. I mean, afraid to wound them emotionally. You know what I'm talking about, right? Hey, James. Hey, Mo Cowboy. Mo Cowboy says, accountability, do they ever have any, or do they dump it all on others and blame shift? The blame shift game. They dump it all on others in the blame shift game. I think there can be a certain level of accountability for certain things with certain narcissists, yes, but it's not true accountability. It's seeing what they did and admitting it. However, the parts of it that make it important get blame shifted. I would need to come up with an example for that, but I have a clear picture in my head. I'm not example-y right now. Let's see. He trolls today. Just me. Oh, you feel obliged. So another way to know you're being guilt tripped in a relationship or manipulated is you feel an absolute need to oblige the other person and to please them. And I don't mean just being pleasing and having a nice relationship. I mean, please them out of fear, really. And then, so Scorp says they play victim too. Everyone make out it's all you. Exactly. Yeah, that's what I was saying up here. Yeah, they play victim. And they will, especially to other people, right? I mean, that's a way they can actually my brain today with words. Anyway, yes. That's the way they can smear you. There we go. That's the way they can smear you, is by playing victim. It's like a really covert smearing, playing the victim. And it certainly gets the guilt trip going. It gets the pity ploy from everyone else, including you. Linnell, rough now though, since I have cut off my having to prove he has taken up the parent role. This is how you should do it with our now married and gone school young adults. Fabricated competition. Ugh. Yeah. Had my truck and child stolen. When they showed back up over an hour later, I was blamed all in future arguments for getting. Yeah, see, the blame shifting, right? Mo Cowboy says, yay, play the victim and hero, poor little things. A victim of us and a hero for staying and attempting to take care of us. That's right. This, I mean, is projection too, right? They're projecting basically what the survivor has experienced as if it's their own experience, which we know it isn't. So one thing that I think is a hard one to swallow is all of this that I'm talking about, all of this guilt tripping and all of this pity ploy and what it does to you. Besides, if you're onto it, it's frustrating. If you are under its spell, it can make you feel really needed. It can make you feel like you are vitally needed in that relationship and you're super important to this person. And the way that they do it, it's not like, it's often not super overly dramatic. It's just part of the way the relationship starts to flow. And that feeling of being needed is really a trauma bonded feeling. You're actually addicted. It's, you know, it's a difficult thing to recognize in yourself, that the feeling of being needed is wrapped up with toxic relationships. So if you have that feeling like, but they need me, and you have all these other signs going on, it's time to start looking at it and getting yourself safe. Hello, Alicia. You didn't get a notification. It's okay. I don't know. I don't understand the notifications. I don't know why they work and they don't work sometimes. I'm sorry about that. Let's see. Okay. Understanding that all of this is meant to keep you hooked. It's manipulation. All of the pity ploy and the guilt trip, they're manipulations. And my eyes are pop. The sun is shining, Angela, sorry. Let's see, Mo Cowboy, the more I realized they were broken, the harder I tried to fix them. I was needed. That was my crazy. It's true. Ooh, there's the blurry. It's true. And I got it. Just takes me a second to read typos, but I don't mind them. It's true that feeling of needing to fix, it's sort of a sick dance that goes on between a toxic person and it's fairly codependent, right? To need to fix someone within the relationship. We all want to care for and give care to our partners, but when we have to take a look at what's actually going on, right? And seeing that, wait a minute, they're twisting my words and they're playing the victim while they're twisting my words, which means something's going on and there's some manipulation happening. And why am I trying to fix this situation, right? So it really takes a lot of logic over emotion sometimes to get yourself out of this. It basically, the whole thing gets your focus off of their bad and toxic behaviors. It gets your focus off of their abuse and it puts it onto your feelings of sympathy for them or needing to fix. So I think it's important to understand it. Alicia says, perfect topic. Going through this super bad right now, but staying strong. During a Hoover, Alicia, or are you with them? I can never remember who's what when I'm here because I'm all in another thinking kind of mode. Steve says, yeah, I'm all done fixing crazy. Hello to you. Yeah, good. And we have to work on our fixing, our own lives. That we have to work on healing. That's the point. Life survival, they devalue us so much with criticism and then play with our diminished self-value by falsely needing us. That's right. Pity ploy left 8 months ago, says Alicia Flowers. Yeah, it comes at a certain point. I feel like it's a good warning to anyone who is newly discarded, especially if they've been with a covert narc, to just beware of the pity ploy. Just know it's maybe going to come and what it looks like, and that any attempt at gaining your sympathy is a hoover. It's a hoover in the form of a pity ploy. Excuse me. Pollens are high. Mo Cowboy says, yeah, they didn't understand. So now I can obsess on how to say it in a perfect way, so they will understand and be fixed. I can do it if I obsess enough, right? And then it super sucks your focus, doesn't it? It makes your whole life about giving supply. When your whole life is about someone else, there's something off, and that you're basically feeding somebody else with your energy. Oh, here's another one. You may even have the experience where you can totally relate to what they're saying, because you know it's a tragic abuse they've had in their past, or something that actually did happen to them. And so you can see why they are the way they are, and then start to make excuses as to why they behave the way they do. And that's one way that all this guilt trip and pity ploy, not only does it pull you in, but it keeps you trapped. So we have to realize that grown adults need to be responsible for their own emotional states, no matter what. We can help each other, but we're not responsible for each other's emotional well-being. We just need to be the best person we can be. And if the other person isn't doing that, then your emotional state is not being respected. So I did it for decades. Thankful to be free and not obsessed. Exactly. Stevel says maybe she should pity ploy her new supply. Well, she probably is. She probably is pity ploying the new supply, because you were such a bad person. When a narc is telling the new supply how terrible and crazy their ex was, they're basically using a pity ploy to gain the sympathy of the new supply. And it's a hook. It is such a hook, because anyone with empathy is going to feel for someone who's had a bad experience. It's a red flag when you meet new people telling you too much too soon. It doesn't necessarily have to be a narc doing it. They're not the only ones who pity ploy, but when they do it, it's very difficult to keep the empathy separate, right? And it's dangerous. I have the tiger. I always say of, and it's off. Anyway, mine was covert. Haven't heard from him in months, almost a year, no contact. Good. That's a benefit. Keep it that way, right? May it stay so. Mo Cowboy, or did the tragic past really exist? Or were they spoiled brats? And parroted a story of abuse they had heard to be a better victim. Oh, how many times that happens. Yes. Yep. It's a good point. It's a very good point. Mo Cowboy says, yep, I make up an abuse story, how I did it to him and all the things he did to me. Yeah, that's right. Rebecca says, oh, that's all he does. It's constant smear campaign, but it's pity ploy and enrages people at me. It's frustrating. Yeah. When they're doing it as a smear campaign, it's infuriating. Hello, Jen. How are you? So that's what I got on this today, you guys. Anything else? There was a couple, let me pull it up. There were a couple really great questions I asked with permission to talk about it. And I just have to find it. I have to find it. So I'll just keep talking while I find it and see if I can multitask like this. I don't know that I can, but I can try really hard. Oh, there it is. Okay. I did it. I found it. Now it has to pull up, because I meant to do that ahead of time and I didn't. So I'll just keep reading. Yes, I can imagine the ploy of how I discarded her to her new supply, like one day after my discard, says Stevel. Yep. It's okay. You're late. You can be late I don't know. See, now it's not going to pull up. Oh, that's not the one. I thought I had it. Drat. Oh, well. Oh, maybe it's that. Yes, I did it. Okay, so there's a couple questions that I will read to you. I have permission to read these. Let's go backwards because I'll start here. How to deal with a narc who owes me money and keeps making excuses as to why he doesn't have any to pay, acting like it's out of his control. Child support system takes all his money, or he has to pay his immigration lawyer, always something. Then he goes off on random trips and always has new clothes and wardrobe while he's racked up more than $14K in debt. It's always a pity ploy. I think in that case, I mean, depending on the amount owed, small claims court, taking it into the legal system, taking it out of the personal realm, because all he's going to do is give you excuses and excuses and excuses. You can't even say, hey, let's set up a payment plan like you could with a reasonable person, because he's not reasonable. I think, unfortunately, it may be either cut your losses and unfortunately, or take it to the court system. That's what I got on that. Because obviously you're not buying the pity play, which is good. Yeah. Mo Cowboy says it's like an invasion of the body snatchers. Everyone would point at me like I was the abuser and he was the poor little victim. Oh, I don't know why it blurs like that. Anyway, it's so frustrating. It's so frustrating, and they're so good at it, and it's so obvious to when you've experienced the narc that they do this, and so many of them do that. You know, all you can do is tell people, if you know me, you know the truth, and leave it at that. You can't force people to believe you, because the more you argue during a smear, the more it makes you look guilty, unfortunately. So, and people are so enamored and so swayed by a narcissist's charm that, you know, they fall for it too. Remember, they're supply too. Anyone who's dealing with them is giving supply. So, Jen Archer says, I just walked away and cut my loss. $450,000 home I walked away from. Oh, it's painful, right? But here you are. You're going to move forward, and you don't have to deal with this person. Not sure if there was a question here. Okay, this is an interesting one. It has to do with a narc mother. It's a little bit long, so I'm just going to read it through. Ex-covert narc's mother frequently used statements that she wouldn't live to be old enough to experience, see this, whatever. When they graduated, weddings, etc., she used her health and age as manipulation tool. Sounds like she's a narcissist as well, or toxic in the very least. Let's see. Now that she's truly old and doesn't have much time, I'm certain that will eventually be used as a reason for our two youngest, who are both no contact with her, and the ex-narc, to break no contact. Our oldest, who is low contact, has already been used as a messenger to guilt trip them. They said if it happens, they would go see her, but only her. I feel sure the ex-narc would ignore the boundary and show up if they go to see her. What's the right thing to do when narcs get old and the reasons for emotional blackmail become legitimate? It feels like cry wolf, and I have little sympathy for any of them, including her. This isn't my decision, but it has me concerned. Well, obviously you're talking about adult children, so it really is up to the adult children to make their own choices and decisions on that. If you're advising them, or if you're, out of concern, want to say something, or if they're asking, what do you think the right thing to do is? Nobody's obliged to see anybody ever. Somebody that's toxic does not earn the right to be visited on their sick bed, their deathbed, whatever. There's no rule that says you have to do anything. And we're not obliged to toxic people. We're just not. Just because they are sick or whatever, or old, but they spent their whole life being horrible to you, it's not something to feel guilty over. Now, Some people will feel guilty anyway, so they may want to go visit to alleviate their own guilt, and that's okay too. You just set boundaries, you set time limits, you understand what could happen. Okay, narc dad could show up. What am I going to do if he does? What are my boundaries? How can I be clear, and how can I stay safe? So it's really a more business transaction like, get in there, do what you need to do, get out, say what you need to say. It's about the person who is the survivor, not about the person who is the narc. So if you feel you need to see the aging, elderly, sick, infirm parent, grandparent, whatever, but they're toxic, but you have then you have your own personal desire to see them as the survivor or need to see them, then do it. But do it, really firm boundaries, keeping clear, understanding you're probably not going to get. Also, I'd say, if it were for yourself, not your kids, you can ask them this, but it's up to them if they want to, if they want to go there. What is it that you want from it? What is it that you want from visiting this toxic person who made your life miserable on their sick bed, deathbed, whatever? What is it that you want? And be clear, because if it's something that you can't get, understand you're not going to get it. Like closure, an apology, kindness, understanding, responsibility, accountability. Oh no, they take that all the way to the grave. They take the projecting, the gaslight. They don't, for the most part, don't suddenly have a flash of light at the end, right? So understand that what your needs are may not be met, and be okay with it, and then do what you need to do. That's what I'd say to that. Jen says, okay. Oh, Mo Cowboy's saying, Jen, your life and freedom is priceless, yet to engage to try to make them accountable risks further engagement. And yeah, it does. And Jen's saying, I made my peace when I wrote my goodbye letters. Good. Does anybody else have a topic they want to talk about or anything they want to say about this topic before I end here? I oddly have no battery. Let's plug in my computer before I end before I want to. How's that? All right. Technology me. Oh, there, look. Okay, that worked. All right. Anybody have anything else they want to talk about? Any questions? Anything they want to say before we finish up here for the day? I will. Nope. Okay, we're all quiet right now. That's okay. Afternoon. Okay, guys. I hope this was helpful in talking about the pity ploy. I hope that some information you will find useful. Oh, how do you get out of falling victim to the ploy? What are some tactics? Well, understanding it. I think with things like gaslighting, pity ploy, with the tactics that the narcs use, the really invasive, pervasive, insidious tactics. Sans, does that say sans su wellness? I can't read that right now. Hello. Hi. Sorry if I said your name crazy. How do you get understanding? This is why I'm talking about it. Understanding what's happening to you when it's happening is like the first step, right? You can't, we feel it. You feel the manipulation sometimes. Like I said, you feel these feelings of like responsibility that don't feel like you've never had this so much responsibility for someone else, but you feel super responsible for that person's emotions. You feel kind of dirty, and you feel used. You feel these things, but you don't really know why and what's hitting you. So understanding is really important. It depends on the situation. Gray rock, obviously, getting away from them. If it's a Hoover, just understand that's what it is. Understand that it isn't the narc actually needing you. They're Hoovering you. They're trying to get you back. If it's a parent and they're doing the guilt trip thing, you tell yourself, oh, there they go. They're guilt tripping. They're doing their guilt trip thing, and you don't emotionally connect with it. You don't emotionally attach to it so that it doesn't affect you quite as deeply. It would really depend on the situation, on how. I'm trying to think of other tactics. I mean, Gray rock Gray rock's kind of across the board, right? And for something like this, like, okay, so say they're silent treatmenting you and they're doing it in a victim-y way. And you can't get away from them. You're still with them, or it's, you know, for some reason you're still involved with them. And you know it. They're playing a victim. They're pouting. You feel it. It feels like a child pouting, right? And they're being silent. And so instead of fawning, you feel yourself wanting to make it stop. And you want to fawn and you want to, oh, I'm sorry. Or you want to get angry, whatever you want to do to make it stop. You don't. You just gray rock it. So gray rock, this is a gray rock. Yeah, but a gray rock causes narc injury. Feel confused. Wait. I'm going back here. Confused. Say more, Rebecca. I'm not understanding. You feel like gray rock in that case causes narc injury? Well, I mean, what are we trying to do here? What's the aim? Is the aim to please the narc, or is the aim to diffuse the situation? Or is the aim to always staying with them for a reason? Can we not get away? Like, what's the aim? What's confusing you? And yeah, it can cause narc injury. It can cause narc injury. If it's done certain ways, here's the thing. If you're with like, say it's a narc boss, you can't get away. You got to do your job. You got to be there. You don't want to cause narc injury because in your workplace is hell, right? So there's a way to gray rock that's a little softer. You can give them a piece of what they want in gray rock. It really depends on the situation. And it's hard to talk about it in general because it is different depending on the narc. Gray rock in that case causes narc rage. The behavior is confusing. It can also cause them to, I've seen it cause them to get over it. Like, oh, that didn't work. Especially if you go on with your day. I'm not saying give them the silent treatment back. I'm saying just don't fawn. Just don't do whatever it is you do. Don't do it. And go on your day if it's a pleasant day. I feel like gray rock sometimes is an internal state of not believing the drama the narc's creating. You know what I'm saying? So like not, oh, the kids are going to bust in here any second. It's like in your own head, not allowing yourself to fall into the drama that the narc's creating. And when you do that, it's a different kind of experience than when you're gray rocking from, I'll get you back, or you know what I'm saying? And I think it causes a different behavior. I haven't seen too much narc rage from that situation, but apparently you have. And so I would have to understand the situation better to see what happened. You know what I'm saying? Okay, what's going on? You're going through crap. What's going on? Sansu. Okay. Rebecca, you mean intimidating rage is what Jen is asking. Find things that make me laugh. Wait, I'm getting lost here. Mo Cowboy, yeah, not feeling it with your emotional response. It will either change the tactics of manipulation or go elsewhere for supply. Exactly. Not feeling, it really depends how. Okay, so instead of gray rocking, let's talk about something else then. What's another way to diffuse? Okay, so say you have to deal with this narcissist. You have to be in contact with them and they're giving you a pity ploy. It doesn't, so this is kind of gray rock too, but it's a little different where you can say, oh, you can empathize with words. Oh, that must be difficult. You know, I can hear that's uncomfortable for you. You know, that kind of talk that is actually really sympathetic and validating, but it's also saying, it also puts an end to it. Like, I hear you. Okay. You know, yeah, see, realize your rival, you're on board. That's what I'm talking about. Just say, I'm sorry you feel that way. That's right. I'm sorry you feel that way. That must be difficult. I'm sorry you feel that way. You know, it's not unkind. It's not cruel. What can they say to that? Susan with the letters of your name around. Ah, you see, it makes my reading. I read typos really fast. So when I see words that are twisted around, it makes me confused. Like, what is it actually trying to be? That's good. Okay. Run, says Rebecca. That's right. You could run. They bring in third parties. Oh, you're talking about, were you? Oh, because your situation is there as the smear. They're smearing with the, trying to remember everybody's situations at the same time here. Your situation, is that right, Rebecca? Yours was the smear with the pity ploys. And so then you're asking how to deal with it. Smears are, I find them to be one of the more challenging things because there's really, all you can do, all you have is your own integrity. You have the way you compose yourself, the way you hold yourself, the way you conduct your life, the way you don't respond to their tactics. They change the tactics when you don't respond. The third parties come in, I see, because you're talking about smearing. Is that correct? Is that was your situation, I think? And Steve's asking, how do you know you're being smeared? Well, honestly, here's the thing. It doesn't matter unless it starts to interfere with your life. You just let it go. You don't worry about it. I just bolted and no contact. Good. Keep it that way. I mean, here's the thing. They're going to smear you. They're going to smear you to the new supply at the very least, right? It's what they do. So we don't worry about it. When it's people that are coming at you, like you're talking about, Rebecca, I think, so I would have to know this just like more of the situation. Yes, but mother narc talks to third parties right in front of you. Okay, so it's mom narc. Okay, she's giving pity ploys right in front of you to third parties like you're not there. And making you look like a mean, evil person because you're not feeling bad for her and making it all better for her. So, I mean, in that situation, I would say things like, if she's saying, oh, this was so hard for me, I'm so in this and this, I'd say, yeah, that's really hard for mom. I would agree with the content of what she says as her truth and move on, because then all you're doing is agreeing and you're not looking like anything except for somebody who understands her situation. It's not your job to fix it. I mean, unless you're going to go, I can see what you're saying now, because it's a mother and you're dealing with her directly, and then other people are there watching this take place. So if you're gray rocking, you look like a total cold daughter that doesn't care, right? And because they don't understand that she's toxic, or maybe they do, but they don't know how to deal with it either. And I think at the same time, Rebecca, understand that you're not doing, when we have to give them what they want, it's kind of, that's similar to how having a boss that's a narc. When you have a boss that's a narc, making them think things are their idea, does that make sense? Like making them think the thing you want done, or it's a way of giving them what they want without really being much supply, because you don't actually believe it. Am I making sense? It's so tricky when you have to deal with them. It really is. It's keeping your emotional state safe too, Rebecca. It's remembering that you're not doing this to give her way. You're just trying to diffuse a situation. It's management, and it's difficult, and it's exhausting. It's totally exhausting. However, it's better than getting pulled into it and having your sense of self-worth wrapped up in her drama and accusations and twisted words, right? So holding something inside your head like, well, here goes her twisted truth again. Never out loud, of course, because then you're just causing a fight, but understanding what's happening, like naming the action that she's doing. Oh, there's the pity ploy. Okay. And then, yes, mom, that was really difficult for you. That must be hard. And, and then busy yourself. You can always busy yourself somewhere else if people are around, and, throw a decent sounding comment back her way. Is that making sense? Okay. And it is okay to choose you, says Jen Archer. Yes, that's right. And Mo Cowboy's saying, Angie did a neato video yesterday in cartoon form with an excellent mommy narc in the video. Jen Archer says, that's awesome. I love that. Good. Yes, I think it's really tricky when you have to deal with them. Remember, you're managing the situation. You're not trying to have a relationship. You're there and you're in the situation because for whatever reason you can't not be in the situation. It's very difficult with parents and bosses and people that you can't, that it's more difficult to go no contact with. A lot of people choose to go no contact with parents, and that's totally good too. Depends on the person, depends on the situation in your own life, right? So, and your own choices. But you don't have to be emotional. You don't have to have emotional contact. You can have emotional no contact. It's okay. You just have to play the game of saying the right words. I'm sorry. It is really exhausting. There is no easy way because these aren't easy people. These aren't people that you can relate to and have a relationship with. They're people that are trying to control you. And so you manage the situation. Kind of going off here. Let's see. Between, hello. When the narcissist sets you up for failure on purpose, what do you do when this is realized too late? It's like they want their victims to squirm. You then catch it. You catch it when you catch it. I think I know what you're saying. Are you saying like, it's like a form of sabotaging where they'll set you up to take the fall for whatever, it's usually some weird, twisted, covert emotional thing that gets twisted around to where then there is no way to succeed. Am I catching it here? What you're talking about, Butte? Because I think I do. I think that's maybe what you mean. Anyway, they do want you to squirm. They want your supply. They want, like Jen just said, they do want your supply. You realize things when you realize it. If it's too late, so to speak, and you're already in the throes of defending yourself, it's like any other time. You go into gray rock mode. When you catch it, you go, oh, that's what that was. Okay, take a deep breath. You can even try setting up things like, I need a moment to breathe. I need a moment to think, and taking a step aside just so you can recompose yourself and come back into gray rock mode. And then Between says, yes, so basically they can blame you for anything that goes wrong with a certain situation. Oh, that's like word salad gaslighting, twisted. Oh, nothing infuriates me more. It's because you want to argue can't even talk about it. You want to argue your truth. You want to argue your side. You want to say, wait a minute, it's not what I meant. That's not, they twist your intent. Ooh, getting fired up here. But yeah, is that what you're talking about? Because that is so frustrating. You catch it, you gray rock. You catch it, you gray rock. When you're gray rocking, you tell yourself, I know my truth. This is a game they're playing. They're messing with me. Wow, I'll need some empathic body armor then. Oh, I'm sorry. You know what? Boundaries are your empathic body armor. Seriously, learn about boundaries. Learn ways to protect yourself. If you cannot get away from this person, then learn ways to have boundaries within the situation. You don't try to. So here's the thing also, when you start catching it, Steve says, I need an empathic tank. More boundaries. Boundaries, and there's a whole lot of tools. Self-worth, boundaries, self-worth, higher standards. There's all kinds of tools we have that become our armor. And they're not tools. They're not armor of defensiveness. They're armor of self-love. So you can get there. You can get there. This is a process. You don't build the tank in a day. And we don't want a tank. We still want to have porousness, so we allow the beautiful things in life in and good people, right? But when we're dealing with toxic people, anyway, catching it when you catch it. Whenever you catch it, just catch it and know you've caught it, and talk yourself through it during the situation. Okay, I'm a gray rock now. And it's hard because you're already in the throes of self-defense, you're in an argument. You feel justified in what you're saying because they've totally twisted your words. You have to pull back, and just gray rock can be like something like a boundary with gray rock might be, you know what, I feel like we've talked about this long enough, and then let them spin. Let them, at that point, you've said something, you've stopped it, and let them spin. Let them do it. And sometimes they have to lecture. They have to lecture when they get to that point. You just let them. You just let them and nod your head. Inside your head, remember your own truth. Watch what they're doing. You'll catch it earlier if you start doing things like that. And the earlier you catch it, the less drama happens. Okay. Confidence helps from the info that's given. Oh, good. Self-confidence is, and good. That's good. An emblem on the front of my body armor is a large red no. No. But yeah. Okay. Life Survival says, be strong and take care of yourself, not them. Exactly. Now I just want to run her over. Well, you know, the more you gain your own life back, the less supply she gets, because even just thinking about them, it's not so much that you're giving them supply, it's that same supply you did give them is still with you, and it affects your life. So we want your life to get better, and then eventually we don't care what happens with them, right? Tank or no tank. All right. Anything else, you guys? Been about an hour here, so I'll probably head out, get on with this day. Anything else before I head out? Those were great questions. Thank you guys for joining me today. And I will do more of these topics that have to do with the narcissist in the days to come. You're welcome, Life Survival. Thank you for coming. Anybody? I'm just seeing if there's any other questions before I head out. You're welcome, Rebecca. Take care. Okay. You take care, you guys, and I will see you next time. And as always, I appreciate you being here, and I wish you the best. Have a good day. Bye-bye.